Okay, colleagues, if we could come to order, please. Can I welcome everybody to the November meeting of the Combined Authority. Before getting into the agenda, just a few housekeeping points. First of all, can I ask everybody to turn their mobile phones to silent for the duration of the meeting? And if people are going to contribute to the debate, can I please ask members and those presenting reports to speak into the microphones. And as usual, the meeting is being filmed by officers from the Combined Authority and will be available on the Moseley Council YouTube channel later today. And finally, as some of you may know, today is Young People's Takeover Day, and there are a number of young people in the meeting today who are shadowing various officers and members. So can I say a particular warm welcome to all those young people who are here to observe the Combined Authority. I hope you enjoy your time with us. Okay, so that takes us on to item 1. Can I ask, are there any apologies for absence?
No received.
Okay. And item 2 is declarations of interest. Have any declarations of interest been received?
No, Chair.
No?
Received.
Okay, thank you. Item 3 are the minutes of the Combined Authority meeting held on the 17th of October. They're attached in pages 1 to 6 of your agenda pack. Can I ask, are these approved as a correct record of the meeting? Agreed? Thank you very much. Okay, so that takes us on to the first substantive item, item 4, One North programme. And Councillor Liam Robinson. Liam, you're going to take us through this report, please?
Yeah, just briefly. It's very much the latest incarnation of One North and an update on the report we had at the last meeting. So I don't propose to take us through it in terms of rote and in too much depth and detail, because it's substantively very similar to what we had 6 weeks ago. I think one of the key things is the meeting 6 weeks ago, leaders were very clear that the One North process needs to ensure the Liverpool City region's prominence, and that it actually directly caters for our ask and requirements with regard to connectivity across the north, but specifically our ask with regard to high-speed rail, both in terms of east-west connections and also north-south connections. We fed that very strongly into the process, both at an officer level and a political level, and that has been taken on board. We received a form of words earlier in the week as the latest draft of the programme, which I think gives us a lot of comfort around our high-speed ask, both in terms of east-west and north-south, and obviously that latest draft will be shared with leaders accordingly. The timescales very much going forward now are that the proposals will be worked up in further detail to be finalised for March of next year, very much to feed into each of the political parties in terms of how they define and develop their manifestos, with a view trying to actually get some of the tangible developments into the spending review that's likely to come out in the summer of 2015 following the general election. So that's a very brief synopsis of progress, but I'm happy to take any questions accordingly.
Okay, any points, Joe?
Yeah, I just want to make a point. I made the point that when we discussed the issue about how important it was to actually make the case politically about One North. And I was at the Select Committee, the Economic Select Committee of the House of Lords on Tuesday, presenting to them the economic case around HS2. And what was absolutely frightening, really, is the lack of understanding by senior politicians around the issue of capacity. It's absolutely frightening and really worrying that, you know, even one of the noble lords, Lord Lawson, was absolutely overwhelmed by the evidence that we presented to him and to the committee on the economic benefits for the Liverpool City region. He was overwhelmed and couldn't understand why the focus, as he put it, his way is not mine, the focus was on speed rather than accepting the arguments around capacity. And what it proved to me was what I've said for months and months, is that the political case needs to be made. Yes, we're okay putting the economic evidence, but but we've got to get in there and win the political argument, win the political debate. And as I said, there wasn't just him, Lord Monks and others were absolutely blown away by the facts and figures that we gave them in terms of about the Superport, about the need for capacity. Otherwise, there would be need for investment in the M62, the M6, the corridors out of the Superport. All of those points were absolutely, they were just unaware of and ignorant of. And that was a real concern. And that's why I think, you know, we've got a long, arduous task ahead of us, not helped by the fact that we've got an election coming up shortly. But we've still got to work hard to make that case, and that's why, you know, I've made it clear that I won't sign off One North unless it's absolutely clear that it makes that case. And I just think that we have, as the left, I know we've done this, Robert, in terms of the economic case, and I presented them with that document, but we've certainly got to try and win the political debate, because it is amazing how ignorant people are of that capacity argument and that case for connectivity with HS3 and HS2. Absolutely amazing.
Robert?
Yeah, just endorsing exactly what Joe has said in terms of the need for political push at this very important time. I mean, first of all, I think the One North document and stronger pan-northern working should be welcomed. It's very positive movement indeed. I think also it's important because of linking to HS3 and what should lead into a direct link to Liverpool through HS2. This, we think, is a conduit to drive forward that direct link, which we all know is so important to the City region for HS2 itself. And this One North initiative, I think, is the plan for that to take it forward. And that should be, I think, possible because Manchester, one of the greater Manchester's themes is logistics. And for them to see that connection between Liverpool and Manchester, it sits right fair and square within that important agenda that they attribute to logistics within the city region of Manchester. My point, therefore, is that the Liverpool-Manchester connection should run at a complementary pace with that between Manchester and Leeds, and this sequential approach, Manchester and Leeds, really isn't acceptable, and we must ensure that our route between Liverpool and Manchester runs alongside that ambition. Very important indeed. And the facts show that far more people come between Liverpool and Manchester than do so between Manchester and Leeds, and there is no logic whatsoever in prioritising only the Manchester-Leeds connection.
Important point. Other comments? Liam, can I just check with you, because clearly, you know, there's this work going on to produce this interim report by March. I mean, just taking up the point that Joe was making, is there a kind of lobbying plan that goes alongside that economic argument?
Yeah, I believe that there is, and very much as we refine the kind of One North ask specific to the Liverpool City region, we start to actually look at specifically what that can be, and to be blunt about it, how that new piece of railway could run eastwards towards Manchester, but also linking up to the HS2 network. I think we'll have a much more defined Liverpool City region ask, and it's incumbent on all of us to strongly argue for that, both in terms of what it brings to us, but what it will also bring to the rest of the country and the wider north. And we need to think about how we make sure we've got those alliances right across the north and nationally, and strongly argue our case, because we think it's very compelling, because we've got the economic evidence to do that, but actually we need to make sure that's heard in all those political corridors, that it becomes a reality.
Okay, any other points? Okay, so we've got the recommendations of paragraph 2. Can we agree those? Agreed? Thank you. Okay, that takes us on then to item 5, the Mersey Gateway progress update, and we've got David Parr, Chief Executive of Holden, who's going to do a presentation, David, and we're going to do one or two other things as well at the same time. Over to you.
Yes, Chair, thank you. I'm going to speak for about 5 minutes using a PowerPoint presentation, then I've got a 10-minute fly-through. And with the agreement of the Chair, what I thought we could do is, if there are any questions that come from the presentation, we could perhaps take those as the fly-through is flying through. My apologies to Councillor Round and Councillor Drumwell, who've already seen this presentation, so apologies that you've got to see it a second time. It's quite an impressive piece of work, so I'm sure you'll enjoy it a second time. starting point is that the project reached its financial close in March of this year. The procurement itself was a major success. It's one of the very few infrastructure projects that's actually been brought in under budget, and it's been brought in under budget to the tune of £250 million. So that's £250 million of public money that is able to be spent somewhere else. I think that's down to the very diligent approach taken by the Mersey Gateway team and some of the innovative procurement processes that they put in place. And certainly Mersey Gateway is being seen as an exemplar project for other projects to follow, and we're spending a lot of time telling people around the country and beyond the UK about the success that Mersey Gateway has had in terms of its procurement, and the city regions being able to show the way to other people in terms of how to do a procurement for an infrastructure project. You'll see there that we signed that contract, and I'll talk a little bit on the next slide about the structures of the Mersey Gateway project. I'm not going to go into the legal detail, I'm sure you'll all be delighted to hear that, but I think it is important to understand the context of who's doing what as we go through the next 3 years and then into the operational phase. What this slide also tells you is that the deal was nearly a £2 billion deal over a 26-year franchise. So that makes it the largest infrastructure project in the country outside London. And I think the City Region should be very proud that we're delivering that particular infrastructure project for the people of the Liverpool City Region. The cost of actually building the bridge is in the region of £600 million. But what's important, I think, is the last bullet on that slide. The great focus has been on the bridge itself, but there will be a significant amount of associated highway works and environmental works. We're effectively linking the bridge from the River Mersey to the M62 and from the River Mersey to the M56, and improving those junctions at the same time, and a number of road junctions. I think this is probably the time for me to apologise to the residents of the Liverpool City Region that we're going to inconvenience them for the next 3 years, and some of you will have already experienced that. I'm really sorry, we're trying to manage it as effectively as we can, but with such a major infrastructure project there will be disruption, so please give a little bit more time for your journey than you would otherwise. As I said, I've set out on this slide what the legal powers are, the legal structures. Essentially, Halton Council acquired powers from government through a whole range of planning processes, compulsory purchase processes, tolling order processes. We are passing those powers over to the Mersey Gateway Crossings Board. That's what MGCB means on that slide. And they will deliver the powers across to Mersey Link, who are the consortium that are delivering what is a design, build, operate and maintain contract. Mersey Link is a consortium. This is a multinational consortium. The banking has come from Macquarie's, an Australian company. The Korean government are investing through the Korean Bank, and also FCC Construction from Spain. The construction companies, the UK company that's driving this forward is Kia, because we were very keen, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about local employment and local businesses on another slide. But Kia are the construction company working with both FCC Construction and Samsung Construction on the construction. And once it's operating, Sanef, the French company, will be the tolling company that will run the tolling provisions. So really very much a multinational facility and project. This breaks down, I want to show this slide because going back to the point about the congestion, people will be able to go onto the Mersey Gateway website. You can now click onto Down My Street and you will see this particular slide. This will tell you where the works are being constructed, when they are being constructed and what the diversions are. This is a really important communication, not just for local residents moving around, but also for businesses who are having to continue to successfully deliver their business during quite a significant infrastructure project. And those are the different phases of the work that we're doing. Ironically, the orange in the middle, number 4, I think it is, 3, is the easiest part. Building the bridge is the easiest part of this project. The rest of the infrastructure is a lot more complicated. So, where have we progressed so far? The temporary roads to the main bridge foundations, the haul roads, have been put in. The trestle bridge is starting to come out of the estuary, and if you go onto the Mersey Gateway website, there's a live webcam that you can watch the progress of the construction, if that's what you like to do. We've done a lot of demolition works. Public utility diversions are taking place. The associated highways, as I say, are a major challenge for us. A lot of decontamination. Halton, because of its history in chemicals, has a lot of contamination. We're doing a lot of work on decontamination and leading edge decontamination activities, and consents and approvals need to be taken. The next few slides really just bring it to life for you on the ground. So the little orange, yellow blob shows you where the photo is in the line of the bridge, and then the photograph shows you the work that's going on at the moment. So this is how the haul road's developed, and you'll see there we've got a number of sites of special scientific interest, so we need to protect those. So there's membranes being put down to protect the environment, the flora and the fauna, and then the whole road goes on. We're also having to protect, in this particular case, gas mains, because there's lots of utilities that go in this vicinity. We need to make sure people still get their utilities during the construction phase. Here, this is the St Helens Canal. We're taking the fish out, and we're taking them somewhere else, and when we've done the works, we'll bring them back, and they'll continue to thrive. So this isn't just a project about building a bridge, it's very much an environmentally friendly and eco-friendly project as well. There's some more construction taking place. That's to show you how the whole road looks now, and you'll see the Silver Jubilee Bridge in the background just to locate where you are. The interesting thing is the trestle bridge is starting to go out. So this picture was taken in August, and by September it had moved on a number of areas. This isn't what the bridge will look like when it's completed. This is just the bridge to get you to building the bridge, which is in itself a significant infrastructure exercise in itself. Those are some of the first pillars that have been laid into the estuary. Because we're building within the river, we have to build off barges, and this is a piling barge. Some interesting logistics. Those of you who know the estuary well will know that it tends to be more sand and mud flats than river at this particular point in the estuary. So we've got to get the balance right between the barges levelling up and then the cranes being able to operate. And you'll see here the cranes are now operational and are starting to fill the coffer dam to put the first south pylon in. And the video I'm going to show you will show you a little bit more about that. Next 12 months, more of the same, I'm afraid. What I wanted to focus on before I run on to the DVD is this isn't just about infrastructure, it's about jobs, it's about creating business growth for the Liverpool City region and beyond. One of the things that we put a number of KPIs, so performance indicators, into the contract so that local people can be employed in these jobs. These are the first 4 apprentices that Mersey have appointed, and there'll be more to come. They're working very closely with schools to ensure that young people are getting access to the learning that comes from building an infrastructure project of this nature, so that we can generate the engineers and the road builders and the bridge builders of tomorrow from our workforce today and our young people today. Very, very important part of the project and not to be underestimated. Also, we put something in which we think is quite innovative, which is called Time Bank, which is where the construction companies, so all those multinationals that I mentioned earlier, have to give time back to the community to help the community to do projects that they would otherwise be doing. So we're tapping into the expertise of these multinational companies to help local schools, local businesses, local community centres to develop things that they might not be able to do previously. And this is time that's being given free by Mersey and the people working for them. Timelines. The bridge will open, and I emphasise will open, because that's always been our position, in autumn 2017. At that point we will close Silver Jubilee Bridge, and that will have a full refurb. That was built and opened in 1961. It's getting a bit tired. Don't worry, it's safe, but it is getting a bit tired. And when it's been refurbed, it will also have some sustainable transport on it. It will have new footways, new cycle tracks, priority bus lanes, and it will go back to the local bridge that was designed in 1961 to take 6,000 vehicles. It now takes 60 to 70,000 vehicles a day, which shows you why we need Mersey Gateway. Some of you may even have seen a programme on Granada TV last night about new ways of transporting people, and Silver Jubilee and the Mersey Gateway featured on that in terms of the congestion. So that's the first part of my presentation, Chair. I'm now going to try and make the second part work, or Lily's. So what this is a fly-through. It will show you the route, just to show you, if you're not as familiar as we are with the route, where the route is. And it's going to show you what it will look like when it's built. We think this is really important because when you're sat in a traffic jam worried about the roadworks, you want to know why you're having your time taken away. And what this DV does is show you what it's going to look like when it's constructed. What it also shows you is some of the technical methodology for how the bridge and how the roads are going to be created. We've been using this very heavily in schools and colleges because we want young people to understand some of the very sophisticated technology that's taking place, as I said earlier, so that we can create the engineers of tomorrow and inspire young people, hopefully, to develop skills in what will be a very exciting job opportunity for them going forward. Chair, what I'm happy to do as we're watching this is to take questions if there are questions from the authority.
Okay, thanks, David. Can I just say, I mean, it's just a fantastic project. It really is. Congratulations to everybody kind of involved in it. It's just so impressive. It's great that we've got that investment going into City Region. But are there any?
Can I comment on that, Chair? Because I think what I would like to say is that this project wouldn't have happened without the partnership that's existed across the City Region. Both the public sector, the private sector, everybody has been behind this, both politically and in terms of business. And without the support that we've had from all the local authorities, from the local enterprise partnership, from a lot of other people, we would not have got to this point. Because it's been through probably 3 governments, I think, to get to this point. That's always a challenging process. It's now going through a 4th government, possibly in May, and we need the continued support of the combined authority and our colleagues to make it happen for the people of the City Region.
Okay. So while we're watching the CGI, anybody who wants to make any points, ask any questions? Ronnie?
It's not a question, Chair. I'd just like
Ronnie, just put your microphone on.
Okay. I'd just like to make a few comments. And David alluded to it. By the time it's completed, it will have gone through 4 governments. I think probably I've had one of the longest associations with the second Mersey crossing over the water. I think I attended my first meeting with Tony McDermott, who was the leader of Holton at the time. Back as far as 1997, and the 4 successive governments that have been in since that time, when we get to May next year, just proves what a mountain we've got to climb to get rid of the bureaucracy that we have in existence in this country. And the bureaucracy does not add to economic development, it retards it. I attended a conference in Brussels with Tony McDermott, and he was speaking at the conference, and he asked me to accompany Holton delegation to their twin town of Usti, is it? Have I got the pronunciation right? Usti? Yeah. It sounds funny when you're speaking in Liverpool. and we went to the local council offices in Ousty, and one of the senior officers accompanied us because she wanted to show us their new bridge in Ousty, which linked her town of Ousty with Germany, which the border was only 20 miles away. And it was a really impressive, not as impressive as ours though, but it was a really impressive project and development. And at the finish of it, she took us on a tour over it, and I said to her, how long did it take to complete? And she said, we have a terrible job getting it through the government. She said, we first asked for the bridge 2 years ago. And she said, now you see traffic crossing the bridge going to Germany and coming back. I was absolutely astounded. And I just thought I wanted to make those comments for people to understand in the chamber today, Chair, just the journey that we've been on since 1997. And here we are, what a wonderful project, and long it may continue. Thank you.
Thanks, Ronnie. Rob?
Yeah, just to echo what Ronnie's saying really, I remember being told by Tony McDermott to go up to Kendal to see the then Transport Minister, Brenda Jackson, and ask a question about where's our bridge. And I asked the question, she said, bridges, we're not building roads, let alone bridges. And from then on, we've had a complete struggle. And with the Mersey Crossing Board, and I remember Erling Parker, was it Erling Parker that used to be quite separate on that meeting? And from there on, we've ever took, never took no for an answer. And we had to battle like clappers. And it's funny what you said about Ousty, because we had the murder of Tongling, which is another one that you can get your mouth around, right? Who'd come over to see us and were very impressed with our sort of Jubilee Bridge. And said they must have a big island which is like a recreational park in the Yangtze River, which is quite a hellish crossing, there's no bridge. And he said, we're going to build one of them to the translator. And I said, when are you going to be doing that then? He said, when we get back. And it's probably built now, it's done, you know what I mean? He's just done it. And that bridge, when we first looked at this, was £150 million. That was what it's costing them, 600 million now. And you just see the economic value. If you make a judgment quickly and do it quickly, it values everywhere. You get the best economies of scale quickly. You know what I mean? Businesses get sorted out quickly. And this you talk about us making decisions. The government can't make a decision. It's really, really difficult. And we've never ever said no, only for our partners and pushing it, shoving it through successive governments that we've got where we are today. And I'm really chuffed it's actually, because we always said we never believe it's seen something like this happening. It is actually, that bit that's going on there now is actually happening right now in the estimate.
Yeah. Very good. Thanks, Rob. Robert?
Yeah. It's still running, so I'll ask my question. That's okay, Chair.
This is a loop. It's going to go forever.
It's a compliment, really, David, to you and the team who are really involved, because it has been an exemplar of procurement and delivery, and I think you should be congratulated on a very complex exercise indeed, so very well done. Also, I think it's a model of what can be achieved by collaboration, a point you referred to a few minutes ago, that multinational complex exercise. In terms of looking forward, do you have a view on the contributions as a GVA accretion that will flow from the bridge?
We do. Obviously, to get the powers that we've got, we needed to make a powerful economic case. So the case that we made and that was accepted for Mersey Gateway was manyfold. The first case that we made was to reduce congestion, and it will reduce congestion. So journeys should be quicker by a minimum of 10 minutes, which doesn't sound a lot, but is actually quite a lot, because that's when you've got free-flowing traffic. The bridge itself, you will have seen from some of the images, is it's got no toll booths, so it's ANPR cameras in terms of recognition of vehicles. So you will have free-flowing, and part of the contract for the contractors, they must make the bridge flow at 60 miles an hour. That's the part of the contract. It will also improve the journey time in terms of the consistency of the journey time. Because as we are very much in a just-in-minute, just-in-time process, we're very close to Jaguar Land Rover here, of course, and they need to continue their business. One of the success stories of the city region, they need the same speed of journey time for their products, so we will improve that significantly. Those people using Liverpool John Lennon Airport will be able to go 2 hours later than they do now, because they won't be panicking about, can I get my aeroplane? So that's the second thing. The third thing is, and quite unusually, this particular project is carbon neutral. Most people would tell you, when you build roads, you create more cars and you create more CO2s. Because this is a tolled facility, it restricts traffic movements and therefore is carbon neutral. So it will improve the air quality of the community around the bridge as well. It will generate, in the construction phase, I think one of the slides said it's about 450 jobs, and then once it's operational, the additional value will be about 4,500 to 5,000 new jobs from businesses locating because of the accessibility into the city region that is constrained at the moment by Silver Jubilee. And the last one, I'm trying to remember the number of it. I think the GVA increase is about £65 million year on year. But I'd like to come back to you on that, because I just need to check that figure, because I've not got it in my head. But I'll let you know that figure. It's a significant GVA increase from the business creation that will come.
Just for the sake, yeah, go on, Robert. This was a very quick project. It may have taken 17 years, so I'd hate anyone to think this has been slow on the part of Holland. The reverse. This is one of the very fast projects in the size and complexity of it. That's the other point to make, David.
Okay, and any other points? No. Okay, can I just say, fantastic project. Thank you, David, for that presentation. Well done to Holden and the whole city region, really. I think it's something that we can all be really proud of. So thanks, David, for the...
I'll stop this, Chair.
Yeah, I think I've seen most. Yeah, okay, no, it's really good.
Anybody who wants to see anybody who wants to see the full version can see this on the Mersey Gateway website. So if you've got nothing you want to watch on the TV tonight, go to that and have a look at it. It's interesting stuff. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thanks for that, David. Okay, so let's crack on now to item 6, which is the Liverpool City Region Transport Partnership Integrated Transport Block 2015-16. David Brown's going to introduce this.
Thank you, Chair. This is a paper that highlights the volume of integrated transport funding that's available to the City Region from 2015-16. Members will recall that we were awarded just over £10 million of integrated transport funding, and this is the funding that's used to deliver local small-scale schemes, so cycling, walking, public transport-related schemes across the City Region. We currently allocate that funding out on a formulaic basis, and we're suggesting that we do that for one further year, 2015-16, and that we review with transport officers a different approach on a prioritisation basis from 2016-17. That is something we did say that we would do for this year as part of the creation of the combined authority. Due to workload issues across the piece, we're suggesting deferring that until the following year. We have got an indicative settlement for the next 3 years from central government, and you can see in table on section 4.5 how that's broken down by individual districts. One other change from previous years is there is a core activity budget, which is effectively taken out of the pot at the moment to fund pan-city region activity. And we're suggesting that next year that's funded out of the Mersey travel allocation, effectively reducing the Mersey travel allocation itself, but allowing more money to be then spread across to district partners. And you can see on page 27 a list of the activity that core funding will provide. And in essence, that's providing the combined authority with the technical modelling tools to assess the value of individual schemes, the evaluation capability, and also some resource to move forward the freight agenda, and also build and do once business cases for major schemes moving forward, rather than doing them across the city region. So therefore providing an efficiency for the city region. So the recommendation is that the Mersey Travel Committee are recommending that this paper is approved as set out in section 2.
Thank you, David. Any comments, questions? Joe?
Just one comment. I mean, while I accept that we'll get an opportunity to discuss it further and look at the formula and how we can change that. It's just ironic really that we're going on to talk about the growth deal and how that's progressing. I think what we've got to do is actually make the case and point out that the growth fund deal in terms of transport, yes, it was good what we got, that I'm not disputing that, but if you look at what some of the city regions got, they got a lot more. And the fact of the matter is that what we've got to, I believe, emphasise, it is to make the argument here and make the case that we're aware of the fact that the growth fund is actually from a top slice of this particular fund. And I guess if we look at that and analyse that, we'll actually see that we've lost. And I think we need to actually make that case always. And even I think demand and use as comparison with what others are getting to actually demand more as well. So whilst we accept it, it is over potentially a 6-year period. I still think that we need to make the case for more.
Okay. Okay. Any other points? Okay. So I'm going to ask members: can we agree recommendation to support that transport budget section 4 of the report? Is that agreed? Okay, thank you. Okay, then that takes us on then to item 7, the growth deal implementation update. Mike Paling, you want to take us through this, Mike, please?
Thank you, Chair. Members are aware of the successful bid we made to the local growth fund, where we were allocated £232 million. In the context of the previous paper, probably just worth making members aware that we did not bid for any transport funding for 2018, 19, 20, and 2021. But we fully made it clear to government that we would be returning to them with a programme of schemes that we would want investments in, such as Liverpool Lime Street as an example. Today's report is not intended to go back through the material we've already had to the CA, but to provide members with an update of the implementation work that's underway. So it's also important that the CA members are aware that the CA is the legal accountable body for the management of this funding going forward. The implementation work underway includes the work done by the Transport Advisory Group, which is the transport officers of each district. And from a LEP perspective, we'd like to thank them for the work that they've been doing on helping us prioritise and make sure the programme is robust. It's diverted their attention away from things like the ICB allocation, one of the reasons that David has just touched on. But we really want to thank them for the work they've done. In terms of skills development, skills capital implementation, we're beginning a consultation process with the colleges over the process we're going through, and that will begin next week. Members will be pleased to know that in terms of the RAG rating the government applies to LEPs on their implementation process, we are rated green. We are one of the best performing LEPs in the government's eyes. However, there's still a significant volume of work to do. We have to design an assurance framework with governments. This is the processes that we will apply in making decisions over how funding is used. We've already been through that process, the DFT in the past. We now have to adapt that for the growth deal process. And this will be a technical document that we will have to take to the LEP board and then bring to the CA in due course. It's also worth noting that government did approach us in early October to submit some other scheme ideas, potential funding. We're aware, we spoke to each local authority partner so in case they had anything in particular, but we reinforced the message from the growth deal submission that we would like a capital fund at city region level. And we are hopeful that this will be approved in this latest round of funding. We've had subtle indications that they are more willing to fund this type of project going forward. And we did indicate some schemes that might be funded, such as the automotive supplier park in Wirral, but also a TV and film hub in Liverpool as potential schemes to fund through that process. So the recommendations are really just to reflect on the work underway and to ask the CA to ensure, because of the legal responsibilities as a council body, that we have the right capacity and capability in place to manage the programme going forward.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Any questions on this? No? Can I just make a few comments to add to what Mike said? I mean, first of all, I think this is a really good result, really, to 232 million. out of an ask of 250 million was a really good result, and the fund was 3 times oversubscribed. So I think we got a very good outcome to this. However, having said that, delivery is now the key. I think, Mike, as you said, and I think that the items in the report where you set out how that's going to be delivered, I think it's really important that we monitor that and have regular reports back, both to the LEP and to this body, on making sure we're on track. And Robert, you and I have talked about this a number of times, and I know you're equally concerned that we have arrangements in place to make sure that we do deliver these schemes. And I think that takes me to my final point, that we need to, and it's item D really in recommendations, we need to just do a review of the capacity that we've got within the city region to make sure that we've got appropriate arrangements in place to manage this programme, because delivery, I think, is the absolute key. So I just wanted to make that point. Robert, I don't know if you want to add to that.
Well, thank you, Chair. This is all a means to an end. The journey to the award was substantial. The award was made, which was appreciated, and I think around our expectation. But it's all irrelevant without delivery. And it isn't just a question of choice of what we do; it's how quickly we do it, and to have the assurance frameworks around it. So absolutely vital, and that's our next step. And alongside all this, of course, the next round is just starting. So there are at least 2 balls in the air there of equal significance.
Okay, any other points? Okay, if not, can we agree those recommendations? They agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Right, that takes us then on to item 8, which is the Liverpool City Region housing. And Carol, you're going to take us through this, please.
Yes, Chair, I will. At the first meeting of the Combined Authority, we brought a report that set out the good performance by the Liverpool City Region in delivering a significant proportion of the affordable homes programme that have been allocated to us. The performance of Liverpool City Region remains significantly better than the rest of the North West, and we've concentrated on deliverability of that programme, and I think that's been acknowledged by the Homes and Communities Agency. We were asked to bring back an interim report at the half-year stage which outlined any schemes at risk of delivery, because some of these funding schemes end at the 31st of March next year, and as of yet there's been no agreed carryover of funding beyond the 31st of March. That's because of the general election and the unknown stages beyond that. Schemes that start on site in advance of that date will still be subject to the Homes and Communities Agency approval if they've not been completed by that date. The schemes that are at risk are outlined in section 4 and 5 of this report, and each of these are currently being progressed within each borough and within the Combined Authority Housing Board, and a number of substitute schemes are being considered, providing that they can be delivered within the timescale. So we are sticking very much to deliverability. Our progress is very positive through the joint work that we've undertaken. As a result of that, we've now been notified of a further allocation for 2015 to 18 of 36.8 million, which is amply 10% of the North West programme. It's a much bigger proportion this time, and that's based on the fact that we've delivered in the past programme. We've made really good progress on the empty homes strategy across the piece, and the number of empty homes in the city region is now stabilising, but the key pressure remains in the former housing market renewal areas. Some of these are linked to the enterprise zones, but some of these have a wide range of interventions in place, and as and when funding becomes available, we are able to bid jointly for that funding to help accelerate some of those programmes. In the other areas that was approved by the Combined Authority, Traveller Pitch programme and the Care Support programme, we're making good progress. There's 1 or 2 schemes yet to complete. I think the progress is good. I think we've done well to achieve a big allocation for next year. We would like it to be bigger, Chair, and we'll keep bidding. If any other region fails to deliver, we are able to bid back into the pot to recover more of the funding that's not delivered, and we've been able to do that this year. We're asking you to note the contents of this report and to note the action that's been taking place on the schemes that are at risk.
Thank you, Carol. Okay, members, any comments, questions on this report? Anybody wants to raise? If not, can we just note
Can
that?
I just raise on
Sorry.
section 4 really, Carol? First of all, recognise the excellent progress made and certainly achieved one of the best areas, I think, in the HCA's terms in England in this particular space. But just on section 4, that's the Affordable Homes Programme closing in March 15, and unless schemes are completed by the end of March 2015, they will fall away. Are there any alternative measures we can take at this stage, just in case that were not to shift, in other words, government were not to make some relaxation of that very stringent rule? How do you see we can alleviate that position, if at all?
We've made a request back to the Homes and Communities agencies to allow these schemes that we know can start but beyond the 31st of March date, or ask for those schemes to be included in the next programme. Obviously we're bidding for any carryover funding, but because of the uncertainties of the autumn statement, we'll only know probably in December if those successful bids have been made. But we've done everything we can as a housing board to ask for monies to be retained, transferred or carried over to the next programme.
Thank you. Okay, any other points? Okay, if not, can we agree those recommendations? Agreed? Thank you very much. Okay, that then takes us on to item 9, which is an amendment to our constitution. And Angela, you're going to take us through this, please.
Yes, Chair. I think this is probably the most straightforward report on the agenda. Members will recall that at the Combined Authority meeting on the 19th of September, approval was given to the principle of associate membership of the authority in order to promote and enhance joint working across the region. Currently, the Constitution doesn't contain any provisions in relation to associate membership, and this report proposes some additional wording to the articles of the Constitution to set out the basis upon which associate membership will operate. Amendments to the Constitution require the unanimous approval of the representatives of the constituent authorities present and voting. So the proposed wording for the amendment has been circulated to the legal officers of all the constituent councils and appears to be acceptable. It's non-controversial. It appears to be acceptable from their perspective. If the authority approves the report, steps can be taken by the head of the paid service to exercise the delegation, which the authority provided to him when it accepted the report in September. So we're just asking for approval to the addition amendment to the Constitution.
Can members agree that amendment? Okay, that's agreed unanimously. And can I just kind of on the back of that, Angela, just kind of formally report that we had a formal request from West Lancs Council to become an associate member of the Liverpool City Region Combined Authority. I received that, hugely positively. I think it's good that other adjoining councils are wanting to join with us. So now we've passed that amendment today. I'm hoping that we will all be able to agree. I know it's been the formal power has been delegated, but we welcome West Lancs to that status within the combined authority. So just really giving notice of that, Angela.
Yes, Chair. I will be sending a memorandum of understanding to West Lancashire for them to sign. As soon as they sign that, there will be associate members of the combined authority.
Yeah. Okay, everybody happy with that? Yes? Okay, now I think that's really positive news. Okay, thank you very much. Right, okay, so that then takes us on to item 10, Combined Authority Budget Monitoring Statement, 1st July 2014 to 30th of September 2014. And John, you're going to take us through that, please?
Yeah, thank you. It's the same format as you received for Q1. Just to say that the Mersey Travel Committee has considered the performance and the financial information in much greater depth than is presented here. There are a couple of substantive recommendations relating to the capital programme and to a sublease of Mann Island, which are included in that report because it's not possible to delegate those to the Mersey Travel Committee under the current scheme of delegation. But we've got officers here who can answer questions on any of the capital programme items or on the Mann Island sublease, and I can answer any questions you may have on performance and financial aspects of the report.
Okay, thank you, John. Anybody got any questions on this report? No? Okay, so we've got the recommendations in front of you, page 51. Can we agree those? They agree. Okay, thank you. Okay, that then takes us on to the next item, which is item 11, the Liverpool City Region Combined Authority proposals for greater devolved powers and funding. I'm simply going to move the recommendations as set out in paragraph 2. Are they agreed? Thank you very much. And that then takes us on to item 12, which are the minutes of the Mersey Travel Committee held on the 6th of November 2014. I think we're just being asked to confirm those minutes. Is that agreed? Agreed. Thank you very much. So that concludes the business. I've not been informed of any other urgent items. So I'd just like to conclude by thanking everybody for their attendance, contribution to this meeting, and to remind you that the next meeting of the Combined Authority will be at 11 o'clock on Friday the 19th of December 2014. And I declare this meeting closed. Thank you for your attendance. Thank you.